Good evening, everyone. Generally, say when it comes to digital technologies, what happens is that compliance, risk, etc., are seen as something which hinders the implementation of these technologies. But thankfully, in the last couple of years, what has happened is that even these technologies, digital technologies, have emerged as, say, something actually helping implementation of regulation. So that is where the term RegTech itself is actually getting more, is becoming a buzzword nowadays, along with major technologies. So broadly, see what we see as RegTech. One is that a set of firms or the companies who provide solutions which can actually tackle the challenges which is posed by the digital economy. Because as you will all understand, the implementation of digital technologies have posed a new set of challenges, and as a result will require maybe newer approaches to to solve the problem. So one aspect of RegTech is to actually tackle those things. And the other aspect of RegTech is basically use maybe even in a conventional setup, how to use maybe new digital technologies, including AI, ML, etc., for ensuring that regulatory compliance. So my question, see, I will start with you, Kanika. See, my question is, as a say product manager, how do you see, say, how the this RegTech solution interface have actually progressed in the last couple of years, and what are the drivers of that change?
First of all, thank you, Alok, for having me here. And I must say one thing, that it's a very interesting topic, given usually the talks are around digital transformation, customer experience. So RegTech is something which is not often talked about, but has become part and parcel of everything that we do in the financial world. So, and that's precisely the reason when Elets approached me and asked on what topic would you like to probably speak on. I think this is the most interesting topic I've never spoken about in the public forum. So let's talk about this. So coming back to your question, I think the need started, or the seriousness started, I think back in 2008, when the crisis happened, we all know. And that's where people started taking these things more seriously worldwide. In India, I think the compliance has always been much more serious term, and the regulators are more strict about many things. But I think post 2008, it's the world phenomenon that has occurred, where people are looking forward to it. And these things I still feel are at a very nascent stage. There are things which are evolving. People are trying to do multiple things. A lot of startups have emerged. They are trying to do many beautiful things. If you actually see in terms of making it cost efficient, making it operationally very efficient, and then also it's becoming very agile. If you see the evolvement of how the RegTech used to be maybe about 5 to 10 years back, and if you see now, I think the agility has become much more. So the way today a startup or a new company, when they approach me, I feel they are much more agile in terms of integrating with your ecosystem than they used to be. So that's something I definitely want to commend this industry. Secondly, I think the more important thing here we need to also look at is that what is it that is preventing us from moving forward. And I think we'll talk about it as we go forward, that what are the challenges, what are the good things maybe.
Yeah. Mr. Alok, will you be able to add, say, what is your experience implementing technology from a risk management perspective?
Yeah, definitely. Today when we talk about risk management or maybe compliance management also, for both the things. So without technology, I think life is going to be hell actually. So whether we like it or not, Maybe that traditionally, whatever we were able to do it. So you can say that number of transactions, what we have seen is just 10 years back, and number of transactions, type of product. So dependency has gone up like anything. At the same time, I have seen that acceptance. So when I'm talking about acceptance, so for business, it is always easy to accept things. Okay, new things are coming. I have to create new product. I have to go to the market. I have to be the first in the market. At the same time, I have seen that departments like risk department or maybe compliance department, obviously IT has to play a major role in that. So the kind of role what they are playing today to help this, to understand that thing, that how to create a very smooth this process, that becomes very important. And the way acceptance I have seen from the customer side, because one is like as a bank or as a financial institution, we keep on creating a lot of good products. But what about customers? So we also need to understand about the customers' acceptance, customers' understanding. So I think there also this plays a very major role, especially from the compliance point of view, that okay, one side you have created something which is very good, which is as per compliance, maybe expectation of RBI or any other regulator. But the moment it is getting delivered at the customer end, so what exactly is happening there? So I think we can stretch this discussion to that part also, that how as a bank or as a financial institution we are taking care about that last mile requirement actually. So that becomes very tricky actually sometimes. So there, this role of all the control function or you can say the people who are involved in the creation of products. So obviously product plays a very major role, because ultimately we become like an advisor and ultimately ownership shift to the always the product side. So I've seen very good coordination. So not only in our bank, in other banks also, what I've seen that people understand, because this is something, when something is going at the speed of 200, 300 kilometer per hour, and something we were running at 50 kilometers, 60 kilometer per hour. So you can understand that what kind of control for the compliance or risk we have to make it. It has to be preventive. You can't depend on your people that, okay, at ground they will take care about the certain things. You have to create a processes in that manner that it takes care about end-to-end requirement.
Yeah.
I just want to add one more thing. When you also said that the acceptance has increased. I think traditionally always the compliance and risk and versus digital used to be at the loggerheads. It used to be, if you want to go digital, you are making more risks. And it's very interesting to see that as a RegTech, this is something where both are actually getting married. So that's a very interesting aspect if you look at the entire thing. And that's where I love this topic more, and why I'm emphasizing on it again and again, because one of the main challenge for a digital person, I think people sitting here would agree, in a company is that how do you balance this risk versus how do you make the customer experience better? And when both the things are conveniently coming together, with the chief risk officer and the chief compliance officer coming together and talking about it, it makes the things truly in the right perspective, that where are we heading to in the future.
Yeah. See, as maybe compliance and risk practitioners, what we do is we always believe, and I am sure everyone will agree with that perspective also, how fast you drive a vehicle is determined more by your, the capacity of your braking system rather than that of the engine. Though engine plays a very key role. But then the point is, the moment you know that your vehicle brake is not working properly, you will not be confident to go forward. So that is the basic key. So now, now what has happened in the last couple of years is that even in the product management, right from the design of the product, we started thinking about compliance. Can you elaborate, what exactly, for example, the revolution that has happened in the last couple of years is related to the identity. So how effectively have your organization probably has used the identity management and maybe for the onboarding customers? Because for the BFSI segment, that becomes the very most important aspect of it.
Okay, so I think it has become part and parcel, first of all, I should say that, because without compliance, you can't move ahead. I need to take a sign off from my compliance officer before I can actually go ahead, needless to say that. So now you talked about onboarding, how do you ensure that, and how are you putting the compliance RegTech into it. The first and the foremost thing is KYC. Across all factors of BFSI, you need to do that. And KYC, I think the way it's evolving, there was a lot of, I would say, roadblocks, discussions, at least 3-4 years back when there were cases going around in the Supreme Court, what is KYC accepted, what is not accepted. There was some clarity that people were still seeking. And now the things are much more clear, what is acceptable, not acceptable. This is video KYC, this is something I can, here in this section, I can do it offline, I can't do it offline, I can't do it online. So all those things are, I think, regulators are much more clear also in what they are demanding, expecting. So that's number one. And yes, my personal experience, I have used it extensively, because that's the first thing where customers are coming to you and experiencing you after researching about you. And when you're onboarding as a KYC being a first step, you can't have it offline and then you claim that I am a truly digital, or I am a truly, zero touch experience. So for that, I think that's the first thing, KYC in the onboarding. Then also comes the aspect of money laundering. So anti-money laundering is also, be it, I was earlier into mutual funds, now I'm into lending. And everywhere, the need of anti-money laundering is something you need to be really very, very conservative about. And that's where the RegTech again comes into picture. We are sure that the account which the customer is saying, is it belonging to the same customer? He's not, or he or she is not investing from a different account, or I'm not transferring the funds into a wrong account. So all these things comes into picture, and you need to be also agile. Today my bank account is X, tomorrow my bank account is Y. I need to change it. I may not want to go to the branches and do it. I want to do it online, right? And I also want to say that while probably I have used it already, I still see a lot of the known brands and companies who are still to adopt these things. They still demand that a customer goes to branch to actually do all these activities. So probably the adoption is also a key. Despite we are aware, people are trying to pick it up, but the pickup is in pieces. So yeah. So I think that customer experience, these things also are very important when people think about what more I can do. That should be a continuous question in terms of going with a zero touch.
Yeah, thanks. Alok, actually when we deal with these type of areas, there is massive amount of data related to the customer that is coming. So there are, one aspect is the privacy aspect, and the other is maybe the cyber security challenges. So how do you think we can actually use some of these technology solutions to overcome these type of say challenges, and also balance between these requirements?
No, it's absolutely the most important thing. So as per my experience, what I have seen in terms of cyber security, we are mature enough. So RBI guidelines also, we have to thank to RBI, because this is the main area where we have seen that RBI has made it very clear guidelines, definitely with the help of CERTIN and other organizations in that. So I think that is not the major area as on date. But what is still area where I feel that in India, most of the financial institution has to worry on the data side. Because a lot of new systems are coming up, a lot of new ways of onboarding the customer, then handling the transactions, all those things are happening. But how much it is secure, that I think is still we have to see that how things are getting mature. So basic things everybody is doing, like for Aadhaar, if a regulator has come with the guidelines that you have to mask all the Aadhaar, you can't save, keep it in the open format. So that is one part of the overall customer data we are talking. But what about many other kind of data? Because still most of the financial institutions are taking help from many vendors. So the kind of data flow is happening at various places. So although everybody is talking about, or everybody has implemented also many kind of thing, but we don't know that what kind of controls actually at each and every level it is happened. So I think that is the area still we have to work hard. Even from the regulator side also, guidelines are not good enough. It is only talking about very limited kind of things. So now whatever law is passed, so we have to see that how this law is coming up. Again, that is going to be a Herculean task for all the financial institutions, because that is really very strict. So we have to wait for that. But still, I feel that banks are, or maybe financial institutions are still, they have not reached to that level to control entire this data privacy piece.
I totally agree. I think because if you look at it, if you look at the regulation, it clearly says that you need to have a proper audit of the vendors and the fintechs, whosoever you are onboarding to take the help of. But then how far can you go in terms of the audit? How far can you ensure that the right control, the data protection is there? I think DPDP bill that has come is very important and would be a game changer, hoping so. But so far, that has been one of the biggest challenge. Though cloud is coming and all those, with all those things in place, I think there's a lot of control that has already come. But miles to go, I feel, in this space.
Yeah. Another aspect I would like to discuss. See, in our bank, normally we say digital at the fore and human at the core. Now, see, that is almost a phrase what we use regularly, basically because we believe that there are certain areas where some human expertise is, say, essential, especially when it comes to control. Even with the emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, what happens is that unless you are able to explain from a compliance and audit perspective, unless you are able to explain clearly what the technology does, you will not be able to say implement that itself. That's why in the previous panel, when data analytics was discussed, say one of the panelists was telling many banks do a lot of internal work even before start putting that into service. So my question is to you is actually, while deciding a product, or maybe all the processes related to a product, how do you decide, say, where to use human expertise, where to use a technology solution?
I think first of all, I want to say that this technology is made by human only. So we can't anywhere go away with the human and expect machines to start working. So that's a fundamental thing I would say. The second thing is, I think it's a very fine balance. So the things which are more of the regular operational work, that's where the digital comes into picture much more comfortably. The things where, and let me take an example. So for example, KYC. So KYC, when we say doing KYC with the Aadhaar, with the voter card, with the driving license is simple. But let's say there are a lot of people in India who might not have these cards, who might not have their Aadhaar with the updated address. All those problems are very, very realistic, practical on the ground every day. And especially in the current industry where I am, my consumer segment is precisely that. So then what do? You take their electricity bills, you try to take some of the other documents to, ensure that the customer is actually staying at that address, apart from doing the actual field visit there. So that's where the human has to come. Even if I try to do that I would say that you upload the electricity bill, and that there are systems, machines which can read that bill and try to comprehend the address that's mentioned on that. But the electricity bill is not uniform across the India, right? Different states, different places have different. Even the basic, we talked about BL, I just said, the format is very different. So many a times you can't rely upon the system to actually say that, okay, this is fine and go ahead, because sometimes there's a big money involved. So it also depends upon the kind of risk that we are taking. It also depends upon the kind of customer segment where we are, that whether it's a human or a machine that can pitch in. And Usually also they both go hand in hand. The machine takes a first call, and wherever required, the human comes in next.
Yeah, so just to add on that, so I think human is always important because one is like whatever system we are taking. So maybe that I am taking help from some vendor also. There may be a very expert system. What is expert in one kind of environment, but when I am taking as a person who is responsible for that, because this is not about the compliance or something. It is more on the basic thing. When I am using a system, if I don't know that how this system is working, how this end-to-end delivery is happening, what kind of logic is there inside the system, I don't think that we can use any system at all. So I think there is a basic hygiene check what we have to do it. So when I'm taking a system, that I have to align that system with my own data, my own environment, whatever environment is there. So like take example of the AML. So it looks very simple that some AML rules are there, which may be that prescribed by some regulator or maybe it is given by some expert people. But you can't have those kind of whatever rules or scenarios are there and you live with that for ages. It has to be improved. So how it can be improved? One is definitely data will keep on enriching that. But we need people who are expert in that which are the models we have to tweak actually, what kind of data. Maybe data itself is not useful. Now that earlier we were taking four sources of data. Now there may be 10 other sources are there. So likewise, there can be hundreds of the example where actually we have to understand that we have to create good quality manpower also along with the system. Otherwise, it can be a very dangerous to implement. You can take any world's best system also, and people have seen also that one system is working in a very good manner in A organization or A area, but it is not working in a proper fashion in B area. So that becomes very important. So I completely agree. We have to have expert with us before implementing any kind of thing.
Yeah, with this rapidly advancing technologies, how do you envision RegTech going forward in a couple of years from now?
Yeah, so I think the good part is like regulator is very active now. So they are if you see last few years, they have come up with a lot of guidelines, especially on the digital side. So like digital lending guidelines is again a I think very big thing for the many organizations. So it has given some kind of rules and some kind of clarity, because many institutions were not clear that what kind of guidelines will come, whether whatever amount I'm investing in a system, in a structure, in a book, whether really regulator will allow or regulator will accept that thing or not. So that guidelines has given a lot of clarity to the industry. So that is on the lending side. Other side also, like this law what we are talking about, data privacy law. So again, this is going to have a big change in the many systems, the way we store the data, the way data actually travel from one place to other place. So you never know, like Aadhaar, what we are talking today, it may be for the all PIDs, or maybe that even name of the customer also. And right now, many things we are taking acceptance of customer one time, and we keep on using that acceptance for ages. Now, for one place already RBI has said that no, you can't accept those kind of things at once. Every time you have to do. So you can just imagine, customer is doing few transaction on online mode, and we are saying that every time he has to give his consent. So those kind of things will come, but at the same time, many things will get corrected also with the clarity of data. So I think what industry wants, clarity. So if we can get clarity that these are the rules of the game, everybody is ready to adopt that. So I think that way people are spending a lot of money, and everybody has accepted that if I want to be in the race, I have to be equipped with the world-class technology at the best available. So obviously, some people will do in-house and somebody will keep on doing on the partnership basis with others.
Yeah, Kanika, you would like to add something on the opportunities and the challenges?
Yeah, I think first of all, as I said already, that the regulator is playing a very active role now, and it's a very, very fastly changing industry. I would say that it's not the volatile may not be the right word. It's non-cyclic, but it's the kind of regulations that keep on coming every now and then. It keeps you always on your toes. What next? What next? And secondly, as he said, that clarity is definitely that's something required. But regulator, they are encouraging the sandbox. They are encouraging a lot of startups to come up with the new and innovative ideas on how do we use technology. I think that's very, very encouraging, and that's where we see some of these new ideas or the pitch that we every day see in terms of the RegTech. And we all know 2019 it was about what 5.5 billion dollar industry worldwide. In 2027 it's projected to be about 28 billion dollar industry. So the kind of growth is enormous. Challenges is already stated. I think clarity is the one thing. Second challenge I would definitely say is the silos that still exist. There are a lot of independent solutions in terms of RegTech. It's a KYC solution, it's a fraud management solution, it's a AML solution. But a combined solution which people can use and in a more agile way, I think that's still to emerge because people are still experimenting in small pieces. So that's where the opportunity lies in future, and of course it's a challenge as of now.
Yeah, thank you. And does the audience have any questions?
Yeah, when it comes to RegTech, how does RegTech keep up with the innovations in technology that have become so prevalent in the financial industry? And also, can AI be used to enhance these evolutions and revisions in RegTech? If so, how?
Yeah. So that's what initially I told as by way of introduction. See, one thing that is actually happening, even in the discussions you would have seen, what is happening is that earlier what used to happen is that a product used to be put in place, and later on, say there was a audit process going on or a compliance testing going on. That was the process. Now we are moving to a phase where we also get involved as compliance professionals, as risk professionals. We also get involved right from the product definition. See, even as part of most of the organizations now have, so as part of a product approval document, there is a separate section where say how we will put all the controls in place. That is point number one. And point number two is that say many people like me say get involved. I am basically a technology person. I am getting involved in compliance. The reason why my organization is doing that is basically because we do not want the compliance to become a hindrance to the implementation of innovation. So innovation has to go together with the meeting of the regulatory guidelines, because one key difference for the BFSI sector is the license that is given by the regulator. So that stands first. If that is getting compromised, everything else is compromised. So this is how we are actually adding value. You want to add something?
Second point was on the use of AI ML for this. So obviously, it has to come. We have to accept that we have to use those kind of technology, because what is happening again, traditional system. If you see that we have created scenario, we have created model, and then it start working. Now at least AI ML is going to help us in understanding the things vis-a-vis what has happened and now what is happening. Otherwise, what was happening? Fixed rules were there. Fixed rules. Everybody was talking on the fixed rule only. Now this will keep on giving us trigger that based on the pattern of data, how pattern is getting changed. So it will throw us in a totally different manner. And compliance piece, definitely it is static. Whenever it gets changed, again it gets updated. But risk-wise, compliance risk-wise, we need AI kind of pieces which can actually tell us in a clear fashion. So definitely it has to work in a big manner actually.
Right. So